And Professor Dershowitz, we got to get to all of that last night, but let's get right to the big news. The Hunter Biden plea deal fell apart. You take it away.
Who predicted that on your show? I have predicted it right from the beginning.
I believe the author of Get Trump did.
I predicted over and over again this judge would not accept that plea bargain for two reasons. Number one, it is unclear under the plea bargain whether if they come up with new evidence, like from the whistleblowers, of serious crimes committed perhaps in the Ukraine, China, or anywhere outside of Delaware, whether this plea bargain would permit renewed investigation or renewed prosecution. And the judge did exactly the right thing by saying, I'm not accepting a pig in a poke. I want to know exactly what it is the prosecution can do and can't do. And I think it's so important that we don't allow plea bargains to go forward that hide things from the public. You know, we never even saw the written plea bargain. What do they have to hide? The American public is rightfully skeptical. Americans are skeptical people. Show us. Prove it. We're not sure. And this was an attempt to try to do something behind people's back. And the judge was courageous. Look, she'd like to get promoted, I'm sure, by a Democratic president. She was appointed by a combination of Donald Trump and the two Democratic senators from Delaware. So she's neutral. She's contributed to both parties. She seems like a straightforward person. And she said, no, I'm not going to accept the plea bargain. It's not in the public interest.
You know, Professor Dershowitz, I want to ask you, this to me was extraordinary. I've been glued all day watching the coverage. This to me was amazing. Hunter Biden planned, clearly, he was going to do some statements after court today. They thought it was case closed.
Well, that's because they listen to CNN. And CNN legal analysts are the worst in the world. I don't think any of them could graduate the worst law school in the country.
Wow.
They constantly predict what they hope will happen.
I better take over that company soon.
Yeah, John needs to buy it right away, Professor.
Virtually everything they say is wrong almost all the time. And why am I always right? Not because I'm any smarter than anybody. It's because I don't allow my political positions to interfere with my academic expertise. I know what the law is. I've been doing this for 60 years. I predict it down the line, whether it supports my views or doesn't support my views. And so people have to stop confusing their personal views with what the law authorizes.
Hey, by the way, I just want to say, Professor Dershowitz, the solution is John buying CNN. That's the solution.
Oh, believe me. And John, if you buy CNN, I'll settle the suit with you right away. I'm involved in a lawsuit with CNN.
Hey, Alan, this is Pete King.
I'll put that in my
clause in the contract.
Okay. Letter of intent.
Now, how earth-shattering could this be to the whole Biden team? I mean, to me, this reminded me of Judge Sirica rejecting the plea bargain with the Watergate burglars, and that basically caused the whole Watergate conspiracy to unravel. I think there could be a lot of nervous people around Joe Biden right now.
Well, I think there are a lot of nervous people certainly around Hunter Biden. And look, I'm a Biden supporter. I'm a friend of Joe Biden. I've known him for years. I trust him. I hope he's innocent. But if those alleged telephone conversations occurred where while he was vice president, he was put on the phone by his son, I mean, if it's true, and you don't presume anything to be true, even if a whistleblower says it, but if it's true, it's very, very serious. And we have to open the investigation, not close it. Today was an attempt to shut it down, and it failed. And the American public are the winners. The Justice Department lost. The Hunter Biden legal team lost. We won. The American public won because this judge did her job as a representative, not of either side, but of the United States of America and its citizens.
And we're talking to Professor Alan Dershowitz, a great author, of course, of also Get Trump. And Judge Weinberg, you had a great point also about if Biden was on the speakerphone. Explain.
Well, yeah. Alan, this is my point, and I'm been very strong on this issue. People said, well, if you didn't say anything on the call, just say, it's nice to be here, have a wonderful weekend, the weather's fine. That's good. That's not good evidence. I say when you have 24 calls and he's sitting there and he knows Hunter is talking to business associates, and his mere presence is enough to signal, "I'm the guy. Don't worry about it. I'm your protector." What do you think?
Well, there's a case directly on point. You remember that there was a judge. He's now a member of Congress. In fact, there was a judge, and somebody said to the judge, according to the allegation at least, "I just want you to come to the restaurant and sit there and not say anything, because I've told my client that I can get to the judge if he'll just pay me $100,000. And he said, "Well, how do I know the judge is going to do it?" He said, "It's very simple. I told him I'm going to go to the restaurant, and the judge will wave his hand to me, his right hand to me, and that will be a signal." And all the judge did was sat there and wave his hand. Didn't say a word. Got convicted.
There you go. That's exactly right, Alan.
So, in other words, it could be code, just so people listening understand. It's sort of
a
code
signal.
for
It's a
rights.
signal. Don't worry, I'm the guarantor of this deal.
Yeah,
That's
and
all.
that's relevant.
Just sit there. How are you? Have a nice weekend.
In a past case. And the reason that's relevant, I just want to remind everybody it's relevant because Devin Archer, who's supposed to testify on Monday, who is former best friend of Hunter Biden, is expected to testify, if he repeats what he said earlier to Congress, that he was physically there when Hunter put his father on the phone up to 24 times, and also that there was a meeting in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. So all of these things together is why it is so relevant.
Oh, my God. We got Harris for president? Oh, my God.
By the way, John, the word today, this was, I thought, the line of the day. Doug Schoen said today, the pollster who we've had on the show many times, said this is a great day for Gavin Newsom, who's waiting in the wings.
Well, Doug is my former student. I think the only thing that's missing, and if I were a prosecutor or a member of Congress, I wouldn't tell the Bidens whether or not there is a recording of any of those calls. Let them guess, because the one thing that inclines people to tell the truth is the fear that there may be a recording. If they know for absolute certain there's no recording, then I'm not suggesting anybody particular could lie, but in general, people feel they can lie with impunity if there's no recording, if it's just my word against your word. But if there's a recording, they're going to tell the truth. And if they think there's a possibility that there's a recording, they're going to tell the truth.
Last question. How can a big firm like
Latham
and Watkins
a
do
great
that?
lawyer, by the way.
Yeah.
The lawyer, Abby Lowell, is a great lawyer. I've worked with him. He's terrific. They deny it, of course. And the clerk now seems to suggest maybe there was a miscommunication, but it has to be investigated. Everything has to be investigated. Right now, they're going after only lawyers for the Republicans or conservatives, including me. They're filing bar charges against me for representing people they don't like. But it's a good firm, but there has to be an investigation as to who's telling the truth. Because if you say you're somebody you're not, and you're a lawyer or represent a law firm, that's a very serious.
Very serious. Very serious.
And you're right, Abby Lowell is a very good lawyer, so I hope it's not true for him.
Good. I hope it's not true.
Alan Dershowitz, thank you for everything you say and do for our country. I hope you live to 118.
I want you to 119.
I want 19. 119.
Done.
I always tell people you should live to 120 in a few weeks. God forbid you shouldn't die on your birthday.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank
we
you,
love you.
Professor.